Hey guys, wanted to make a video today about Mythcon 2017 in Milwaukee. I've been seeing a lot of footage and a lot of videos on it and watched the overall full stream of it. And there's a few things I found interesting. The fact that you have 3 people in the skeptic community who showed up and were good sports and seemed very professional. And I'm talking about Armoured Skeptic, Shoeonhead, and Sargon of Akkad. They were very pleasant. They were very respectful. Then you have Thomas Smith on stage with Sargon. And one of the things that Sargon brought up and talked to him about was the harassment campaign by the SJW camp to deplatform him and Skeptic and Shoe. And in this campaign, they harassed the founders of Milwaukee so much that they brought the owner and founder's wife to tears just in order to get Sargon and Armored Skeptic and Shoeonhead deplatformed. Now, I find that ridiculous because they're the group that is supposed to be advocating women's rights and freedom and, you know, what they claim to be, you know, awareness and, you know, all these things. But on stage, Thomas Smith says it's okay to harass a woman and make her cry. This guy is ridiculous, and he was visibly emotional throughout the event and yelled at the audience, calling them deplorables, you know, going really heavily at them. In the debate with Sargon, he brought up a tweet to an MP. It was a statement of his text where he said, "I wouldn't even rape you." Now, to me, that doesn't sound like a threat. Was it ill-timed and not smart? Maybe. Was it, you know, could it have been a little more received in a better light? Yeah, but not a threat. During all of the campaign to get them removed off stage, Mr. Steve Shives, the crybaby of Twitter and the SJW camp, who seems to be the man who will block you if you say, hey, and you happen to have the wrong picture, anything. The guy is, you know, a crybaby. He literally is the world's biggest crybaby. Steve Shives, if you ever see this, you're a crybaby. His coverage of the event was ridiculous. He went on to lie about Armored Skeptic and Shoeonhead while advocating that people don't attend. His own camp, who he thought shouldn't attend the event. He was calling key speakers bigots, racists, white supremacists, and with these insults and without proof. That's the big thing that he never has, is anything factual to back him up. Steve Shives, his drive is to silence people. And he was driven to silence Mythcon and Milwaukee, inciting a harassment campaign against the founders and the people who were putting on the event. Now, in my eyes, that's pretty childish. It's saddening to see a grown man go to the extreme that he does to get something that he doesn't like removed. It baffles me. He's a grown man, and he's over here crying because certain people from his camp weren't pulling out of the event. He straight lied about people in his own camp who he was trying to force not to go to the event. If you don't listen to him, he'll call you names. I mean, look at the guy. The guy literally railed on Lacey Green because she decided to start dating Chris Reagan. For what? For what? She hasn't changed her platform. She still believes in feminism, but what are you going to do? You're going to push her away. You're going to push her to the side of logic and free speech and thought. Fine, we'll take her. Those free thinkers and I. When you have a guy who just wants to control speech, he wants to have it his way or no way. People in the camp didn't show up to the event. And then you have Shives complaining about the way Thomas Smith received criticism from the audience and laughed at and mocked by the audience. Of course the camp is going to be all of the Sargon side of people. You literally railed on people and then you start complaining about them not showing up and how, oh, the audience was in its favor. Yeah, of course it is, when you're freaking over here going on a tirade about how people don't show up, blah, blah, blah. Professes love for Thomas Smith, how he's the greatest freaking person alive. And, oh, I'm so glad he showed up. He had a reason. So do those other people. Just because someone's invited to an event where there's going to be someone who has a different opinion or a different thought than you doesn't make it wrong. You can go to these kind of events and meet people and talk and have a dialogue where you actually get to hear their thoughts, they hear your thoughts, and if you're civil about it, maybe both of you come out with a better understanding of what the other side's looking for. Mythcon overall, with Shoe and Skeptic's portion, was nice. They were really well read, and yeah, she was a little quiet, she was a little timid, but she was good. And so was Skeptic. He talked about their talking points and what they stand for, and you got a better view of who they are. And do they sound like the alt-right that everyone in the social justice group calls them? No. Shoe, Skeptic, even Sargon, they're not as far off as you want to make everyone believe. They're good people too. Mythcon was great. I really enjoyed the stream. I enjoyed donating to him. And you know why I had to donate to him? Because of Mr. Steve Shives, who basically used this campaign of threat and forcing their ideology down the throat of the founders of the event to cost them money. Because he feels like he has the right to do this. He's going to silence Mythicist Milwaukee. Who the hell do you think you are, man? Like, you should be wanting conversation. You should be wanting to find the middle ground with people. But no, you're so far gone, you won't even hear anyone. You're never going to reach anyone if you aren't hearing them. And if they know that you're this crybaby that you're perceived as, they're never going to believe anything you have to say. I mean, not that it makes any sense at all. But when you rally people to harass the founder's wife and bring her to tears, when you rally people to not show up, what do you expect? You have this event, you have a good platform for you guys to converse and talk, and you ruin it. Steve, if people don't agree with you, you ruin it. Armoured Skeptic, Shoeonhead, Sargon and Akkad, you guys were all great. I know the debate got a little heated, which it was supposed to be an interview, but it turned into, Thomas Smith being extremely emotional and letting that show. And I think it could have went better for that guy. He was obviously emotional. I'd like to say he's exactly what you would expect. Someone who's driven by their emotions and can't see the problem with that. If you would have went in and kept yourself composed and not spoke over or came out with, I don't like you, and the way you talked to him in the beginning of the interview, you wouldn't have had the audience reacting that way to you. Like, you seemed like you could have had a great conversation, but you chose to act the way you did. And you know what? It was one of those things where you harmed yourself. You can't expect people, after hearing about Steve Shives and the social justice side, their campaign to basically try and silence people, you can't expect everyone there to be happy with you. Because freedom of speech and freedom of, action, that's what we want. I just want to be able to use this platform and have a conversation. Sargon got to use his platform. And you know what? That's the right of the founders of the event. They can platform whoever they want. And to forcibly remove your people, Shives, from the group to say, oh, you shouldn't go, but they should. They need to be heard if they want their points to come across to the skeptic or the alt-right community. You need to be willing to allow people to have their own voice. You're not the thought police. You don't control your group. I can't say it enough. It's one of those things where if you get called out for harassing women, if you get called out for making it this extreme where you're costing a business which doesn't have a side, and they're not taking a side, but they're, bringing out two groups that they think the skeptic and overall atheist community would enjoy, let them. That's their right. It's their convention, not yours. If you want to hold the convention, Steve Shives, go ahead. We'll call it Crybaby Con 2017 or 2018. I mean, it's as simple as that. You don't like it, start your own convention. Then you can platform who you want to and not platform who you don't want to. You can't control everyone else. To the rest who were there, everyone seemed very pleasant and well received, and I really enjoyed it. Donating to Mythcon Milwaukee, they hit with so many attacks by the SJW camp that they had to hire $12,000 in additional security, and this wasn't what they were expecting. So they were already down $12,000 right there, and if they didn't sell the number of tickets they expected or the cost of the venue, etc., they would be down money. So in total, it was $13,000 that they're down. They did start a GoFundMe, and at this point, they have reached and exceeded that, and so I'm happy for them. I'm still going to provide the link if it's still active. However, I do think you have to realize that doing this as a community, threatening people to the extreme that you're threatening them, I'm glad I got to share this with you, my thoughts on Mythcon. Thank you again, guys. Really appreciate you watching this video, and if you like what I do here, please subscribe, turn notifications on. I'll be posting content regularly and want you guys involved. If you have any comments, concerns, anything you'd like to share with me, feel free to lay it down in the comments below, and have a great evening.